So today we are going to talk about a feature in JDE which is very useful but criminally underused at the same time. So we're talking about JDE Object Tracking usage. So basically, object tracking is whenever you run an application or you run a report or there's a business function trigger, it can get tracked inside JDE if you have set it up. And based on the usage tracking, we can then find out how many times the business function of the UBE that the application was invoked. Uh, what is the peak usage for that particular UBE application on which particular days, month, or year? Uh, and then we can also, and this is basically very useful when you're doing projects like a JDE upgrade. So let's assume you have your JDE environment set up, it's on 9.2, and you have multiple customizations. Let's assume you have 500 customization objects, and you're doing a big code current project, you're doing an applications update and a tools release update, a 64-bit update. So during these times, during an upgrade activity, you basically have to retrofit you'll have to go through all your customized code and then plan for the upgrade project activity, right? So in such scenarios, this is where the object usage tracking is getting used. So assume you have 500 objects and you have object tracking already set up on your instance. So object usage tracking can give you actual data of which out of those 500 customized objects are actually being used by your end users and how many times have they been used. So let's say out of those 500, only 50 of your customized objects are being used. So the rest 450 you don't even have to update, or you don't have to retrofit those objects during an upgrade activity. That itself, eh, from a statistics point of view, that sells around 90% of your retrofitting effort. So you only have to focus on the 50 which have been there in your object usage tracking. So this example is still a far-fetched one, but out of those 500, to give you a realistic figure, it would be somewhere around 30 to 40% objects which would actually be used by end users, and the others don't even need to be touched because they are not used. So this is the concept, and we'll look at how to set it up and what are the benefits, what are the features, uh, which tables are getting affected, which applications are used. So I'll just show you. I'll just log into the JD. So for initial setup, the application is 3980042T. This is the object usage tracking. So here, if you see, I have configured it and activated it on my PS environment. If you want to activate it on any other environment, you just have to click here, and that would activate it. If you click on this button, it will turn green and it is active. I have it activated on my Pristine part. Now there could also be uh, a request of which type of objects do you want to track. By default, it has 3 types of object tracking, at least till now. It might change in the future, and we might get more object types like UDOs, orchestrations, others in the tracking list. But right now, it is only 3, which is the applications, UBEs, and business functions. So if you want to only track specific kind of applications, for example, for applications, you only want to track applications, you can set applications on, and you can turn business function UBEs off. If you want to only do applications and UBEs, you can do that, and you can turn on business function, so on and so forth. So this is how these are the types of applications that you can track. If you want to exclude few applications, for example, if all of your users maybe want to check what kind of batch jobs or what is the progress of their batch jobs, so they're constantly going to open WSJ. If you don't want, and this again keeps on writing records in the respective table, So if you don't want such applications to be tracked, because that is not useful data. If you all of your users are going to open an application every day, so it is better to add it to the exclusion list. So to add such applications to the exclusion list, or you can even add the UBEs or business functions. You can go ahead and go into the exclusion list, and here you can search for that object, or you can add that object, and then these won't be tracked. So if you see here, I have a list of 229 objects, which includes reports, which includes uh, the app itself, object tracking usage detail app itself. So this is by default that we have set up, but for you it will be blank, and then you can set it up based on your requirement. So if you don't want WSJ, you can add just the WSJ application. Okay. So this is all the setup related things. So now the question is, how and where do you understand which user is using what application and what is the timestamp? So all this data, there are two tables basically where this gets captured. The application and UB related data gets stored into the F98911 table, and the business function related data gets stored into the F98912 table. So there is an application P98911. You can open it, go find, and you'll see all the users who have used the report or application. For example, now let me open the user JDE. Let's do a search. Okay. If I complete P0 to address book master and do a search, E, come back here, go find, you will see that I opened P01012, the JD user, the environment, its object type application, the form name, version name, date and time, the description, its address book, so on and so forth. Okay. The business functions, so this particular application only captures reports and UBs. The business function data is getting stored in the table, which can be accessed by F98912. So I just opened P01012 here. This was the business function which was invoked. This is the date and time. This is the host system, and this is the application which invoked the business function. Okay. So similarly, if you run reports, it would also capture the report names and the business function names here. Okay. So now you have all the raw data captured in these two tables, F98911 and F98912. So how do you analyze next how many types of applications were called, and how many times were they called? So that is getting stored in a table called F98902, which is the summary table. But the summary table by default does not get populated. So if you look here, it does not have any data at the moment. So to populate that table, you need to run the R98902. So let's go to video, it's set up for TV, we'll set up yes. And the object tracking type, you want to set it to object name, object form, version, product code, or specifier. I'll keep it to object name. PS. Once the report is complete, it will show you a message success. Now you can go to F98902, look on find, and you'll have the data. So let's say P01012. From date to date, so it has data from a particular date. How many times in a day was it called, how many times in a month is this application open, all the so this is actually the date, and the counts are here, the grand total user counts, how many times on that particular day were it called, how many times in the month it is called, all this data. So all 31 days, which day of the month it was called. Okay, so this gives you a pretty good idea of which application was used on which day, which month, uh, how many times, and then you can take a decision if that particular application, if it's custom, then you can decide whether you want to do actually do a retrofit of that object when you're doing your upgrade project. So after this, there is still one question, that because once you set up object tracking, it will continuously track all the data for all of your users, except for the exclusion list that you have configured, and it will keep on growing. So from a CNC point of view, we don't want any tables which are continuously growing, right? Because that would mean you have to spend your database space and then pay extra for that space. So to deal with that problem, Oracle has already mentioned two reports for purging. So R98911P, this will purge the F98911 table, which has information about the application and UB tracking. And the next one is 912P, which will purge your business function table, which is F98912. So these two tables you can use, and then you can configure it in a way that the data gets purged and retains only a month's data, or maybe 6 months data, or a year's data, depending on the business case that you have. So you can set it up to run it on scheduler, so that you don't have to manually track anything. Once you enable your object usage tracking and you set up the reports for summary and the purge, uh, then your object tracking is well set up, and you don't have to worry about anything from purge perspective also. So this was a short demo on the object usage tracking summary for JDE Edwards. This works on 9.2. Specifically, object tracking was made available after tools release 9.2. It is still available. This is the latest tools that you are seeing right now, which is on the release 26. But similar functionality is available in your older releases also. You just need to apply specific ESUs, which bring in the object tracking usage objects to your JDE. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Good day.